This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Welcome to the Business Owners Podcast. My name is Clive Enever, and along with Linda Reed Enever, I am your host. I am a business strategist, and I help people discover clarity to more easily engage with more of their ideal client more often. Today I'm having a conversation with Kirsten Graham about how entrepreneurs can grow faster and smarter by getting the right support in place. Hello and welcome, Kirsten.
Hey, Clive. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
It's an absolute pleasure, and I notice an accent there. Where on earth have we found you at this time?
Well, I'm originally from Virginia, but right now I am in Sarasota, Florida in the States.
What on earth took you to a place like Florida from
Virginia, yeah.
Virginia? Yeah.
Yeah, both on the East Coast. I love the beaches. And we have Siesta Key Beaches, which is one of the top rated beaches in the world. It's white powdery sand and blue water. I love it. Every day I love it.
Golly, you keep that up, I'm on my way.
Well, you guys have fabulous beaches. Oh my gosh, I want to come there to see all of your beaches.
Well, we'll share. In order to get to know you as quickly as we can, Kirsten, is it coffee, tea, or something else?
I'm a Southern girl, so it's always iced tea.
Lovely. And for the benefit of our listeners, Kirsten just showed me a very large mug.
Yes.
So, Kirsten, are you an early bird or a night owl? Or can you do a little of both?
I've always been a bit more of a night owl. I think for many, many years I beat myself up because I wasn't an early bird. At this stage in life, I would say I'm a moderate person. I'm usually in bed around the same time and up around the same time. So not staying up crazy late and not getting up super early, I guess.
Oh, very good. What book are you currently reading? And why can't you put it down?
I'm in the middle of rereading 10X Your Business. And the reason is I've got a client who's reading it right now, and it's been a while since I read it. So I'm just kind of going back through it quickly. So when I'm working with him, we can talk more about it. So refresh our course, I guess.
Very good. And what do you discover when you do reread a book?
Oh my gosh. So one of my favorite books is Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And I think I probably read that book every year for about 20 years. And I haven't read it in a while. I should go back to it. I really feel like as entrepreneurs, it just depends on where we are in our journey. So every time you read a book, especially a classic or a really solid book like that, I feel like you're learning different lessons because you're in a different place in your business. So I think that's the benefit often of rereading business books.
Indeed, we can only accept something close to what we already know. So as we grow, there's an opportunity to find new lessons, if you like, within a book that we read before.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Love to hear it. What one word would describe your journey so far, Kirsten?
I would say interesting. If you ask most people that know me, they probably say neurotic. One of those two, interesting or neurotic, or maybe a little bit of both.
Well, I think there's two things there that we should explore immediately. What on earth could encourage a lady to become involved in helping entrepreneurs grow faster and smarter by getting the right support in place, given that we all know that business is incredibly difficult, and how the devil do you do it?
Yeah, so my dad used to joke when I was younger that I would be fantastic in the military if they would start me off as a general. So I've always been a little bossy. I actually have a pillow. Yeah. I have a pillow that my sister-in-law gave me that says I'm not bossy, I just have better ideas. So I used you can see there's kind of a theme there. So I've always been very good at delegating, and I think that's unusual for a lot of women. So I just feel like the more we can stay in our unique ability doing what we're really good at doing, and the more that we can outsource or hire people to do the things that's their unique abilities, that they're amazing at, we're going to be able to create much larger businesses. We're going to have more income, more free time, and ultimately we're going to be happier.
So what were you doing that enabled you to see this opportunity, and what drove you to pursue it?
Yeah, so the outsourcing component, my current business partner, Jeannie, she was a client back when I owned a mortgage company. That's how we met. And she had started her own business, and she called one day to check on interest rates. And I said, well, did you start your business and how's it going? And she said, I did start it. I don't know anybody else that has a business, so I don't really know what I'm doing. So at that time, I had been mentoring lots of other business owners. And so I met with her to start mentoring her. And at that time, she was building a marketing agency. And that's back when you were doing business cards and rack cards and flyers, most of the print things. I'm really aging myself right now. But it was really when Facebook first came out with fan pages. And it's when local businesses were kind of learning about email marketing and that concept of blogging. They were hearing about it, but they didn't know what it was. Same thing with LinkedIn. LinkedIn was starting to be more than just a website, a resume site, right? So for Jeannie, I put together a focus group. So we had a bunch of business owners. We gave them lunch and then we asked them lots of questions. What did they think about Facebook fan pages? What, were they using email marketing? What did they know about it or not know about it? What did they want to learn? And then Jeannie went on to create some classes and she sold out those classes. And I think the room held 100 people. So she did a class for email marketing, blogging, Facebook, and then back then LinkedIn. And what really happened, which was interesting, was she taught everyone how to do it, but then her phone started ringing off the hook with people saying, I don't want to do it. I want you to write my emails. I want you to send out my emails. I want you to blog for me. I don't want to set up a Facebook page and post on that thing. I don't want to be on there, kind of thing. So that's what she started doing. So kind of a digital agency was born really, really early on in the process. And so as her mentor and coach, as she got busier, because back then you didn't really know what to charge for those services. And so as she got busier, she's like, I need help. And I said, well, I've read about outsourcing overseas. Would you want to try that? And she said, sure, if you'll help me. I was like, okay. So we kind of went down this path of helping her build a virtual team. And remember, this was before Zoom. And really all you had was email. You were just emailing people, kind of doing the email conversations. You were delegating work via email, that kind of thing. So it was very different. But ultimately, she built an agency with people overseas building websites for her, setting up emails to go out for clients, writing blog posts, all the things that she was offering, the services that she was offering. So that was fantastic. That was kind of our lesson. I like to say we learned everything the really hard way, make big, stupid mistakes and then figure it out. But over time, I started helping other clients outsource for different types of industries. And then as marketing changed, and it was really, the writing was on the wall that as business owners, we really need to show up in our content. Things were moving so quickly with all the social media platforms. And so it got harder and harder for an agency to create social content or really to write for business owners because they were starting to see that they needed to be more involved. And that's when she and I decided to partner and really to help business owners create content on their own, but have a marketing virtual assistant take care of video editing, audio editing, graphic design, social media, email marketing, and blogging. So that was kind of how we ended up where we are here today.
Wonderful story. The thing I'm getting there is something that I see quite often out in the big bad world is people getting into business and then discovering that there's something else to do and something else to do and something else to do. And suddenly their focus is gone from why they got into business in the first place. They're seeing all these things that need doing. They're trying to do all these things. They find themselves now flooded in, can't see what's going on, can't keep their nose above the waterline, if you will. And they don't know where to turn. And so it just continues to spiral downwards. How does a person recognize it's time for me to talk to somebody like Kirsten to find out about outsourcing some of this or getting a VA and of course then
Mhm.
there's the horrible thing of how do I hire somebody? How do you
Yeah.
tell people about that, Kirsten?
Yeah. Well, Clive, you brought up a good point. When we start a business, we hear about all the hats you have to wear, but half the time we don't know what half of those hats are, right? You have no idea what's coming. There's several mistakes I think business owners can make. One of those mistakes is if you wait till you're absolutely slammed to try to hire, whether you're hiring in your own country or outsourcing, that's really hard when you're that busy. So it's figuring out how to hire, quote unquote, before you need to or before you're ready is really ideal. We're lucky. We work with a lot of business owners now who actually hire immediately. They understand they don't want to start a business and have to do all these things that they don't want to do. A lot of our clients are more like me. They're not tech savvy. They don't necessarily want to hang out on social media. They don't want to do a lot of things that are required. And because they know that early on, they start building their business from day one by outsourcing. So I think if you're in a position to do that, that's the best time to start. Go ahead and delegate off the things that you don't want to do. So our clients, when they come to us, a lot of times, whether it's bookkeeping or they need software support, what we found out, because initially Jeannie and I had our program, which is called the Marketing VA Advantage. And our goal was to help our clients figure out how to start a YouTube channel or how to start a podcast. And then once we help them with their strategy and they've got their first couple of videos recorded, we would then tell them how to hire a virtual assistant. We gave them the job description, the job post, the interview questions. We gave them everything they needed. But what we found was by the time they had to record their first couple podcast episodes or those first couple YouTube videos, that was already a big mountain to climb. And now all of a sudden we wanted them to hire. And so we had several people that came to us and said, well, could you just hire for me? Or I wish you could just hire for me. And that's really how we ended up taking our business. So I like to say we're not a marketing agency and we're not an outsourcing agency. We coach our clients on strategies, whether it's marketing or bookkeeping or automations and things like that. But then we actually pair them with virtual assistants that we've already interviewed, vetted, and trained so that they get to avoid all of that. How do I hire? And so by pairing them with someone along with, and you know how important this is, giving them the SOPs, the standard operating procedures, so that they can manage all the tasks that virtual assistant does for them. And that's incredibly important because we lead people and we manage tasks. And if you don't have that structure in place, it's usually an epic fail.
Without the structure, all of a sudden there's no clarity.
Correct. Yeah,
What a
absolutely.
surprise. No clarity, mess, no business.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned a couple of areas in there, software and marketing. What other areas do you find people are coming to you for help with?
Yeah, we pretty much stay in our lane in those three areas as far as how we help our clients. But I had a woman who came to me the other day and she really wanted admin. And I feel like that's the first thing people want is an admin virtual assistant. And I said, well, we don't specialize in those, but tell me what you're looking for because I know other people and I could, connect you. She didn't really know what she wanted done. She just knew she was really busy. She didn't have time to do her email. Sometimes she didn't have time to do this, but she didn't have any structure in place. She didn't have a real plan of what she wanted done. And I find that that's where people often come. And she said something to me that is literally like nails on a chalkboard to me. She said, I just want to hire somebody that will tell me what to do and when to do it. And I said, okay, I don't want to offend you, but I'm going to tell you what I tell everybody else. If that's what you want, go get a job, right? There's lots of companies out there that will tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it. As an entrepreneur, you cannot expect to hire a virtual assistant who is going to tell you what to do to run your business. You're looking at that wrong way around. We've got to get you into that CEO, that CFO, that CMO mindset where you understand that you're bringing people on to support your vision, to support the tasks that you need to be done. And you need to step up and be ready to manage and support them.
What do we need to do to help people understand that before they start, that just because you've done something doesn't mean you can run a business?
Well, I think running a business is like anything else. It's a skill you can learn. If you have a passion and if you have a skill that really can change the world, like if you have something that you can do that truly solves someone else's problem, and if you can acknowledge that I need to spend 80% of my time doing that, and then 20% of the time doing managing my team and doing the other things, opposed to spending 80 of your percent of your time doing the back end stuff and only 20% of the time where you can have the biggest impact. So that's the first thing is just understanding that there's a lot that has to be done and you really should not be the person doing it. And I think about it like it's $3 to $6 an hour, and I often find that people always afford what they value, right? So if you don't value getting support in your business, you're never going to be able to quote unquote afford it. And
Mm.
that's your choice, right? But I think for people who have a bigger vision, they want a business that's not just them. They want a business that, gives them the freedom to focus on the making money part and the serving the client part. They want a business that allows them to have family time and vacations and some freedom there. They want a business that can, really allow them to have kind of unlimited income. If that's what you want, you have to lean into support, automation, and AI.
There seems to be a devil of a lot goes on in a business.
Yes.
Not everybody is going to be aware that before they start of just how much is going to happen to them. What's an area that somebody listening to this who's starting a business, has been running a business for a while, that they should recognise or could use to recognise, I need to call somebody like Kirsten?
Yeah. So first of all, if you're wasting a lot of time trying to learn how to do things in your business. So, for example, if you're trying to learn how to do your bookkeeping, there are people out there who love numbers and bookkeeping is their passion. Let's outsource it to them because it's a win-win. And here's the other reason why I think people don't delegate sometimes. It's because behind my computer in Canva, creating social media posts is a lot safer than returning someone's call. Because if I call them back, they might reject me, right? That's not going to feel good. Or getting out and pounding the pavement networking, or really digging into your analytics, doing the things that are hard, the things that are probably going to move us forward, are sometimes the things that we're the most scared of. And so we sometimes hide behind tasks we know we shouldn't be doing.
And most of us get into business with the idea that we're going to, at some point, sail off and spend the last days of our lives floating across the globe, having a jolly good time in the sunset, and always having time to do whatever we want to do. What do you notice is the first thing that disappears from a person in business?
What's that saying? Entrepreneurs are the only people that'll give up a 40-hour a week job to work 80 hours a week for themselves. So the first thing that evaporates is your time because you're constantly, there's no turning off. You go to bed thinking about your business. You often wake up thinking about your business. And I think if you really care about your clients, your goal is to give the best customer service and the best results that you can. It was funny. I had somebody at a networking event the other day, and she's lovely. She's a very type A person and probably very much a perfectionist. And it's interesting because she's also a therapist and a coach. But she had asked me, she said, well, how does someone like me delegate? Somebody who is like me, who likes to do everything themselves. I learn pretty quickly, so I can do most things myself. I know I need to outsource, but I just, it's a struggle. And she said, I can't be the only person that's like this. And it was interesting because I know I'm looking forward to having a conversation with her next week. But sometimes it's also interesting as a business owner to know who your ideal client is. My ideal client is not someone that I have to convince that delegating is a good idea. My client is not someone who they understand that delegating is a skill like anything else and they can learn it. They know that when they hire someone, things may not be done exactly the same way they did it, but if the result is solid, that's good enough. So that's the thing, is realizing who your ideal client is and not trying to convince somebody who's not your ideal client to work with you. And in this case, with this young lady, it's going to be fun to have a conversation with her because she's right. There's a lot of people who are like her. They want to control everything. And we know that comes from fear. It comes from perfectionism. There's lots of reasons why people are like that. But at that point, she has to resolve that issue because I can't resolve that for her as much as I would like to. So it's also, I think, understanding as business owners what we can and can't do for our clients. Because again, we want to help them. And sometimes we spend too much time on things that is really not our place.
So, as part of your service, you don't teach us what we need, you supply what will give us an
Yes,
outcome.
absolutely. Yes.
And in your experience, have you seen growth within businesses because somebody has outsourced all those little jobs that typically they will spend somewhere between 40 and 80% of their time doing and forgetting about the real generation and the excitement, for that matter, of what
Right.
they really should be doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So with bookkeeping, I think that has been phenomenal because it's two types of clients. The first client is someone who isn't doing their bookkeeping at all. So, there can be a lot of shame and guilt around money, whether it's shame and guilt because I should know how to do this. I think every other business owner out there knows how to do this, or the shame and guilt around my money business isn't making the amount of money I thought it would or it could at this point, or that I'm spending too much. So there's just a lot of emotions that go into bookkeeping. But what happens is for those clients, when they get their books in order and they start to understand that bookkeeping isn't just about tax time, it's about real-time information that can help them make smart decisions in the moment, it changes everything for them. So that changes It's not necessarily a money-making activity in their business, it's bringing in more revenue, but it does help them see that they need to raise their prices, or maybe they need to eliminate some offers, or they need to give up some activities that they're doing that they're spending time and money on that are not generating revenue. So it gives them information to make better decisions to make money. The other type of client we have is someone who has had a bookkeeper, but it wasn't a great relationship. So they felt like they were constantly chasing their bookkeeper or not being able to get questions answered. So for them, it's having someone who replies to emails within 24 hours and meets with them on a regular basis and things like that takes that angst and anxiety around of you're hiring someone to do a job for you and you want them to do a good job so that you can do whatever you need to do with your numbers and move on, not have to chase them. So that's made a big difference. When it comes to the marketing virtual assistants, obviously, whether that VA is helping them produce their podcast or getting them booked on podcasts or helping them create YouTube videos, we see all kinds of amazing results from that. But it really depends on the person, right? Because if the person's consistent and creates their content and they have the strategy really dialed in, they're going to be far more successful. But Clive, this was interesting to me because I've always had businesses where I've had staff. So something that was so interesting to me was early on when we had clients say to us after they had hired their marketing virtual assistant onto their team were things like, I feel like a real business owner now, or I had no idea how much I was beating myself up because I couldn't do everything. Or having this person on my team gives me someone to bounce creative ideas off of. And all of a sudden, I feel like the floodgate has been open and I'm seeing, opportunities. I'm able to move faster in my business. So yeah, having support can definitely help a person not just change their business, but actually change how they feel and look at their business.
Couldn't agree with you more, Kirsten, because it's really, really important to people to be clear, not so much on yes, I can do that or no, I can't do that, but clear on the outcome that they want to achieve and then find the best way forward. And today,
Yes.
that's Kirsten. So enough about the work that you actually do, Kirsten.
Sure.
How do you manage your personal life and business? Many people get into business and personal life out the door, gone. How do you keep it all together?
Yeah. So I have a little 4.5 pound dog that kind of bosses me around. She keeps me on schedule, I guess. Because I've pretty much always been self-employed and I love what I do. So I probably work more than the average person, but that's also probably because I love learning new things. But I think it's just making sure, like I spend lots of time with friends and family, going and doing fun things, like we talked about earlier, going to the beach and just enjoying the simple things. I think you just have to figure out where does your day start and where does your day stop? Sometimes you just have to close the computer and walk away. And I think that comes from discipline. And I think also sometimes I think as business owners, we don't understand the real value and importance of having at least a 24-hour block of time where we don't work on our business. And if you'll take that 24 hours and not work on your business, I can promise you it won't just change your business, it'll change your life. Because giving your mind a chance to rest and to go and do other things just opens up your creativity and your productivity when you come back to work.
It's an holistic approach. You have to look
Yes.
at all sorts of different things. Somewhere along the line, most of us in business run into somebody who gives us a really big clue, which is usually wrapped in something ridiculously simple.
Yes.
Have you had moments like that? And is there a particular mentor or advisor that spurred you into action somewhere in the journey?
All right. Well, I'll tell you a funny story and you'll probably. So when I owned my mortgage company, this was back when packages were not sent via email, they were overnighted, right? So I just remember I had this purchase that was supposed to close on a Friday, but the client was last minute at getting us something. And I was in Virginia and the lender, I think, was in Ohio, and they had a snowstorm. And so Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I am saying there's just a 10% chance this is going to close. But of course, they hear it's like 110% chance it's going to close, right? And so this went on this whole 4 days. You got both agents burning up my phone, you got the client. And I just remember driving home that Friday, it didn't close. And I just remember pulling into the garage and going into the house. And all of a sudden it was, because you always kind of beat yourself up, right? What could I have done differently? What could I have done better? But at the end of the day, I realized there was nothing myself or my team could have done. We did everything humanly possible to get it to close, but I couldn't change the weather. I couldn't prevent the snow from falling. And it was like this aha moment that, well, I'm not God. Like, I've done everything I can do. Why do I feel bad about this not closing? And sometimes I think we beat ourselves up way too much. And so just having this realization, and all you can do is all you can do. So that was kind of me torturing myself kind of moment. But I feel like over the years, I've learned so much and a lot of things from my clients. I think the biggest thing you can do to be successful is listen to your clients. Because, like I said, our original business model was to teach people how to hire. I love hiring. I thought everybody on the planet would love to have the skill and to be able to hire. But heck no, they don't want the skill. They would much rather just have me do it for them. And that's okay because I like doing that. So, yeah, listen to what they're asking for, listen to what they need, and don't be afraid to change how you do business because often you can do it better for yourself and your clients.
It's a whole journey, isn't it? We
It
need
is.
to stay aware of many, many things, but most of all, we need to be clear about what we want to achieve so that we can identify areas that Kirsten could do that.
And happy to.
Indeed. Kirsten, how do you want to shape the future of your profession or your field, if you like? Have you got any dream projects or collaborations you'd like to work on?
Yeah, so we're actually moving into a time we've often been affiliates for other companies. So if we believe in something, we promote it, and of course, maybe earn a commission on the back end or that affiliate commission. And that's something we've done for many years. This year, we've really started moving into having affiliates. For our software virtual assistant program and for our bookkeeping virtual assistant program, we have great affiliate programs for clients who believe in what we do and they want to spread the word, or other coaches or consultants who also work with the small business owners like we do. We want to, partnership with them. We want to collaborate with them so that we can help more people.
That sounds like a good way to go to me. What advice would you give to someone else starting out in this area, this field? Because at the end of the day, they're the future of this industry or all of our industries. What advice would you provide to somebody brand new?
Brand new into the outsourcing space. First of all, I think people keep saying, virtual assistants will be eliminated because AI will do it. Well, I think the reality is AI is going to replace a lot of us in a lot of ways, but not completely. I think if I were getting into this business, I would understand the importance of developing people. And that's what we focus on a lot with our virtual assistants is developing them so that they can evolve, where they can use more AI tools, they can be more efficient, they can do more for that business owner because they're leaning into the technology that's coming around. So I would just say go into it understanding that we all have to really stay on top of what's happening with AI. And we have to figure out how to integrate it as efficiently and as effectively as we can. And to understand that AI will replace people who do not embrace and learn and lean into AI. It won't replace everyone.
That's a very good way of putting it. Can I borrow that?
Absolutely. Yes, of course.
That's very good. No, you've provided us with some fantastic advice, Kirsten. Thanks for joining us. But before you go, where can our listeners find you?
Sure. So they can always go to sixfigurebusinesscoaching.com, and that's SIX, figurebusinesscoaching.com. Right at the top of our homepage, we list our 3 programs. So there's landing pages you can check out what we do. Somewhere on that website, there's a link to book a coffee chat with me if you'd like to have a conversation. I'm always open to learning more. Yeah, so I would just go to sixfigurebusinesscoaching.com.
There you go, sixfigurebusinesscoaching.com. You provided some great advice today, Kirsten, and hopefully our listeners will take from that the idea that they too can actually do things. It's not necessary to feel put down, flooded by your own inadequacies, if we like. We can stand up and ask for help. It's frightening, but it's not actually hard once you do it. To our listeners, thanks for joining us on the Business Owners Podcast. And be sure to join us for our next episode. And of course, check out the back catalogue because each one has gems of wisdom in it, just like this one.
Thank you for having me.
Say what you want about AI, but it's here. And it's helping businesses get more done in a day. Wix's website builder is infused with AI so you can stay ahead. Create a beautiful, functional website just by describing your idea. Track how your site appears in AI search results. Create custom images on demand, or launch an entire campaign in a matter of minutes. Wix gives you AI wherever you need it. Try it now for free at Wix.com.